Hey guys, Deathslayer Magic and everybody in the community is trying to figure out what the heck is going on with War of the Spark, because all the evidence we've seen so far suggests that it is going to have a lot of planeswalkers in it. That's basically verified at this point. It's just, what does that really mean? Like, on the cards, in the storyline, just limited to like the lore, or what are we doing? And you know, it's not really in the context of, ooh, I'm excited, I love planeswalkers, how exciting. It's like, everybody's just worried. And anytime Wizards does something wacky or different or anything at all, you should be very worried. Just based on past mismanagement and really poorly received things, I guess we'll say, that they've done in the past. Yeah, if you're worried, that is legitimate. So in the last video, I talked about the couple things people had already brought up and that it was so obvious it came to everybody's mind. Maybe they'll make them planeswalkers, but they'll be legendary creatures. The other theory is, no, they'll print that many planeswalkers, they'll just try to restrict a way to play them. Either change the game rules, make them all cost 6, just something so that you can't just dump planeswalkers and have 20, 30, 40 of them in a deck. That seems counterproductive, like, oh, here's our mechanic, and then we're crippling it right off the bat. That's very odd. Other people have since said, well, maybe they'll just all suck. Maybe they'll be like, you know, Planeswalker deck level, where it's just like, wow, those abilities are bad, and it's like a 5 cost for 4 loyalty. Wow. I mean, it's still a Planeswalker, but I mean, it wouldn't be the first pick, but then that would devalue the entire set. Nobody would want any of the cards, especially the rares and mythics. Well, we could look to the lore and try to make predictions there. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody's super following the storyline. But going back even like 3 years, we know that Nicol Bolas wants to regain the level of power that he had before the Mending, which is the, I guess, multiverse-wide correction in the fabric of the universe that powered down Planeswalkers quite a bit. Before the Mending, they were immortal and could draw mana from multiple planes, and there are directly contradictory statements about their ability to draw mana from other planes anymore. But the consensus is they cannot, so they can't do as powerful of magic. Oh, and they age now. I can see why Bolas, with his wonderful personality, would not be a fan of the big power down. So he could either put on some heels and change his name to Nicole, or he could try to undo the Mending, which it seems is impossible. Because, let's be honest, the Mending was caused by Wizards of the Coast. It's hard to undo that. It was their choice to fix the game and to fix the story and just, yeah. So hard to undo that, so he just wants to pseudo-undo the Mending. He just wants more power. And he was trying to do it with, like, the Conflux, because that was a bunch of mana, and he was trying to cast a giant spell and stuff. So, like, he's tried to do it before. And this time, all we know is that it has something to do with the Immortal Sun, which amplifies magic ability. So, okay. It also prevents people from planeswalking out of the plane that it's on, if it's switched on, I guess. I think you gotta replace the lithium cells inside it too once in a while. I think that's how it works. And sometime near the end of the Hour of Devastation storyline, he had said something about how he needs certain planeswalkers, like, I don't know if he said sparks or if he just said he needs certain planeswalkers. So it sounds like there's a big old spell. He's probably going to try to steal or suppress or steal the power from somebody's spark, a lot of somebody's. So I'm thinking trap them on a plane, use some kind of big amplified magic spell with the Immortal Sun to steal their sparks or disable them or take the power from them and leave them with an empty spark or whatever's going on. And then he is so powerful he can planeswalk away anyway. Or who cares, turn off the Immortal Sun or take it with them and planeswalk away. And then, oh, they don't have a spark anymore or a usable spark. So that's what everybody's assuming at this point based on all the evidence. And it's like very strong foreshadowing. You know, that like leads to this conclusion. So what would that mean for the cards? We got to go back to that because that's what everybody really super cares about. I don't know if the fan reaction would be that great if it's like, oh, look, they lost their spark and now they're just back to their normal use of magic. Cool. And then they downgrade them to like their pre-Planeswalker form. So if it was just, oh, have a legendary creature, oh, another legendary creature. Cool. I mean, okay, whatever. It's like a flashback episode. Ooh, look at all your favorite characters, like the Expendables movie, basically. Oh, everybody's here. Oh, remember him? I love him. Oh, remember her? Oh, she's great. So, I mean, like, if your favorite Planeswalker was Jace, and all of a sudden they just put him on a card and that's it, and you're like, oh, he's a blue mage that has one ability, or he has an ETB effect. Like, cool, I'm still gonna play the card if it's good, but, like, if I was Jace's #1 fan, I'd be kind of mad that it's like, oh, he's in the set, oh, but he's not actually a Planeswalker in the set. As many people who like a Planeswalker due to their backstory and all that, a lot of them like them just because of their abilities on the actual card, the actual Planeswalker abilities. So then we're back to, well, are they really going to print, I believe it's 36 Planeswalkers in one set? I mean, I could see them doing it, but you almost just can't. For all the reasons I said in the last video, which you should probably watch if you missed it, you just can't do that. It wouldn't work. You wouldn't have a functional standard meta. So you could put them in the storyline, all the Planeswalkers, and then only print like 3 of them, or 5, or, you know, whatever. That's not really enough to fill out the pre-release kits, in my opinion. It would be such a small pool. And remember, one shop already leaked, and they have confirmed that they got the information from, I think it's like GSC or whatever. It's one of the distributors I'm not very familiar with. But they leaked the product details, and it was supposed to be kind of hush-hush. So what would be an in-between solution? And that's where people in the comment section, a couple people on Reddit, and me myself have come up with even more ideas since the last video. And of course, it's all based on pretty much what I said in this entire video, all the information and lore and foreshadowing leading up to this. So one theory is every single Planeswalker is going to be a flip Planeswalker, and it might even be like whenever they take damage, they flip back. Like that bad, because in the storyline, the bolus is going to like really mess with their sparks, probably. Well, everybody hates flip cards. They're functionally annoying. They ruin drafts. At the GPs and Pro Tours, I heard that when they're doing like any kind of draft or something, they open the packs and pre-sleeve the cards so that you can't see that somebody's drafting a flip card. And then, oh, you're supposed to play with the proxies. Oh, but those don't fit in the deck box. And then you got to sleeve them. But then you also have to sleeve in a clear sleeve the regular flip card. Then you have to swap it out, which, I mean, you could cheat and you could purposely misrepresent what the proxy was. And maybe somebody won't see it across the table. Plus, they're more expensive and complicated to print. Or you could just leave it in the sleeve and then flip it over. And then, oops, I forgot to unflip it between matches. Hold on, let me flip it. Whoops. And then, oops, I flipped it 30 times and now there's, you know, fingernail marks and all kinds of damage to the top of the card or whatever. And it's a mythic. Whoops. Nothing about them works. Everybody hates them. So, do I think they do them again? Yeah, they didn't give a crap. They were all excited to bring them back the last time they did. So it would very well represent them being a Planeswalker than not being a Planeswalker. But I just don't see them doing that again. It's possible, it's reasonable, and they've already done it in Origins, but it just seems like, why do it again? I mean, it was just done in Origins, and people didn't like it back then. So I'd love to rule that one out, but I mean, it just fits a little bit too well, because then, yeah, is it really a Super Friends deck? It adds a little layer of, can you really reliably flip them over with all of their flip conditions? But I really, really hope they don't do that. So what else could you do to put some Planeswalkers in at rare, actually basically shoehorn in 36 of them, and make it actually work? Well, I mean, I think we all know that in the storyline, one way or another, and to, you know, a limited extent or a complete extent, they are going to be powered down or lose some of their planeswalking powers, or at least that's what it would suggest. Well, that's simple. What do people not like about planeswalkers? They're too hard to stop, they're too hard to damage, they protect themselves too well, and their ultimate abilities are, in most cases, completely and utterly game-wreckingly unfair. So I thought about this. What if they just give them one ability? And that's it. You know, instead of like, oh, it's a legendary creature, you cast it like normal. Now you can target it like it's a creature, but it has like one pay 3 mana or tap ability. Cool. You've basically printed a Planeswalker. So why not actually literally make it a Planeswalker card and then just give it 1+1 ability? And that's it. Or give it like a +2, a -3, and then no ultimate. I mean, with the vast majority of Planeswalkers, the whole point is to get the ultimate off so that you can win the game. The rest of the time is just stall, 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 or use the Planeswalker's ability to win the game already with the synergy of your deck. Like the current Ajani Planeswalkers, they dump counters, they gain life, they keep you alive, and if you got the ult off, great, but that's not the point. You don't just guard them until you get the ult off, at least not with those two. So what if they didn't do something as powerful as drop a counter on 2 different creatures every single turn, while I think it's +2ing him? It makes him... He's got to take a lot of damage to take him down, you know, that makes him pretty hard to stop. So what if they water it down? It's just like, draw a card. I mean, there you go. It's nothing but card advantage, and you might not even draw the right card. What if it's just scry 2, and then the other one is like, return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, and that's like some kind of blue Planeswalker. And that's all they do, and they come out with like 3 loyalty for 4 mana. That'd still be very playable and very powerful, but there's no ult. You don't feel that instant, oh my god, I need to start hitting the Planeswalker, the timer's ticking, I have like 3 turns to get rid of this thing or I'm dead, I've lost the game. So they immediately, in most cases, take the pressure off of your life total, and all potential damage, at least up to what would be lethal against the Planeswalker, is now pointed at the Planeswalker. All red spells now hit the Planeswalker. I mean, you just have to stop what you're doing, stop attempting to win the game, and immediately deal with the Planeswalker just because they drew one and played it. I mean, that's it. That's why they're really quite overpowered. But what if it's like, oh, okay, that'll be nice for them, but I don't feel like I urgently need to get rid of it. There's no ult. So printing like 36 or whatever Planeswalkers with no ultimate abilities at all and just kind of make them like useful but a little bit weak, like a subpar 5 out of 10 rated kind of Planeswalker. What actually would be the problem with that? And the way I would think about it, this is why I think they're going to do it. People would still say, oh, that's too many Planeswalkers. You can still flood the field with them. You can only swing at so many at a time, and the whole time you got to take the pressure off the life total. So no matter how bad they are, you just drop out 5 of them, and then what are you going to do? Well, at that point, I would consider them less Planeswalkers because they wouldn't even function the same way that a typical Planeswalker would. I mean, yeah, mana, loyalty, they get hit, you can target them with some spells, I get it. But it's not just the same old ultimate race. And plus, the last, 30 Planeswalkers have all almost been the same damn card. It's like, what is it? Their +1 is like some kind of card or field advantage, and then their negative is like get rid of something, and then their ult is win the game. Well, with a little bit watered down powers in some cases, and definitely no ultimate, I would then think of them as enchantments or artifacts, except they're easier to be destroyed, because instead of some specialty card that targets them instead of a creature, you can swing directly at it. So just think, if somebody summoned an enchantment, and you are able to swing at it and deal damage to the enchantment to get rid of it, in addition to also enchantment removal cards, and it was just an enchantment that had like 2 options for some really good abilities. I mean, there have been enchantments like that, and the only way to remove them is like exile them or like naturalize or whatever. It's very narrow. They're a lot harder to get rid of than creatures, obviously. So really, really powerful enchantments that also have an additional weakness that most enchantments don't have, which is creatures can attack them directly to blow them up. Now, to me, that sounds fun, interesting, and fair. I'm sure they would still make it overpowered and completely blow it because they don't know how to manage the standard meta or make it appropriately powered or fun. But taking Wizards of the Coast themselves out of the equation, I think that would be doable. So, like I said, leave them as Planeswalkers and leave all the rules the way they should be. It's just make them not Planeswalkers, but still Planeswalkers. I think that's the most reasonable guess as to what they're going to do. And just to step back and think, okay, would they do this? Would they have even come up with the idea? Yeah, people were complaining that Planeswalkers are too powerful in the game, and they are. They really, really are. So what's their solution? Oh, print more of them? No, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. People have been complaining about Planeswalkers for like the last 2 years especially. So what they're going to do is print more of them, but weaken them. I mean, it's just so obvious. So they could come out of left field and do something completely wacky, or like I said, just put them in the storyline. Don't even put them on the, well, at least the Planeswalker cards. Maybe put them on the cards, or name a sorcery after them or something. Or they could just do something simple. It would be like the Oath cards, where you have to get out, or well, actually, like the Pokemon TCG with evolutions, you have to get out a precursor card and then the Planeswalker. So for every Planeswalker, you've got to have another card in the deck and a way to get to it. Now, there's certain colors that aren't very good at sifting through the deck very quickly, so I think that would be kind of dead on arrival. But functionally, it would be a way to do it. Just say you cannot bring out this Planeswalker unless their enchantment is out first, or their artifact is out in play first. I mean, that would pump the brakes on Ultra Super Friends in a hurry. Now, the other idea that would actually match the story and the lore of what we know so far even better, and this one's pretty wild. I'm pretty proud of myself for coming up with this one, even if it's not true. Oh, they'll have Planeswalkers, but they'll have a special keyword or ability that says their abilities cannot be turned on unless they are equipped with like the Planeswalker equipment version of a Spark. And I'm not saying run it as a 4 of, hope they don't have Naturalize, and it's literally a card in your deck. It would probably be more like the City's Blessing, where it's like an emblem, basically. And once you get it, you just drop it in from nowhere. So just replace City's Blessing with Spark, where it's like, oh, the second that a Planeswalker enters play, you can have a Spark emblem or whatever they consider it to actually be. I don't think it's actually an emblem. Well, it's not even a permanent, come to think of it. It's just like a reminder. So just, you have the state of, okay, you've got one Spark, and that's it. So let's say they print 36 Sparkless Planeswalkers, and then in order to use their abilities, you need to have them equipped with the Spark, so it like moves around as like an aura or an equipment. And then you can either, during your turn, use one of their abilities or pass the Spark to another Planeswalker. Those are your two options. And if you pass it, then that Planeswalker can use one of their abilities. But you can only use the abilities of one of the Sparkless Planeswalkers when they're holding the Spark. So basically they just play hot potato. So you could have 5 of them in play, but only one of them is going to actually be able to use their ability. And then, honestly, put all you want on the alts. Who cares? I mean, because you can only have one going at a time, so give them an alt. I don't care. That would be very, very interesting. Because, I mean, they could build on it. They could have an instant that says, temporarily grant spark powers to one additional Planeswalker just this turn, or something like that. Or they could have like Ethereum backup battery cell or whatever, and you can tap this 3 times to use the abilities on an otherwise disabled Sparkless Planeswalker. So once again, that would very much pump the brakes on Super Friends, because we just can't let that happen. That can't be a mechanic. It's too powerful. And, oh, this would limit their usability in other formats like Commander. No, if it says Sparkless, and the second that a Sparkless Planeswalker enters play, you get access to one Spark, you just always assign it to them. So in any other format outside of Standard, it would just act like a normal Planeswalker. So personally, I like the hot potato Spark theory. I think that's it's reasonable. I don't really see anything wrong with it, other than it's like, it's complicated, it's different, it's kind of unique, but it already sounds like that's what they're doing. And if they did, honestly, either that or the no ultimate watered down Planeswalkers, either one of those for the pre-release, I think it would be pretty wild. Well, especially since, in case you missed my last video, which at this point you should have watched it, every pre-release kit comes with a normal promo and then a stamped Planeswalker card, it says. So there were some other minor theories I heard about, like, they'll be Planeswalkers, but they only have negative abilities, that's it. So they get hit, cool, but they'll come out with, like, 9 loyalty for, like, 4 mana, and then they only have, like, a -2, and that's it. So if you hit them for 4, cool, there goes 2 abilities, and they have no plus and no alt. Or they, like, have a -1 and a -6, and they come out with, like, 7, so you can just 6 bomb it right away with a really big effect. Or you could just nick them a little bit and just, tear them down a little bit with the -1 over and over and over. But that's it. There's no way to regain any loyalty. That's an interesting little power down. I could totally see them doing that. I mean, hey, they might even just print normal Planeswalkers and then just make all 3 abilities cost mana in addition to involving loyalty. That's a thing they could do. That would slow it down and keep you from using 4 in play at a time. And it would actually fit the lore, where now they have to rely on, like, their own natural magic instead of just inherent Planeswalker powers. Regardless of what they're going to do, I think that the quantity of actual Planeswalker super type cards, like literal Planeswalkers in the set, will be high, and people will play them because it's a central theme of the set. That's what it looks like, at least. So people are asking, would you invest in, like, Bedevil and maybe Banefire? That one specifically, no. Vraska's Contempt, well, that's already like $13. But basically ways to deal with Planeswalkers: Sorcerous Spyglass, I guess the Immortal Sun. I mean, invest, maybe not. It's kind of a long shot. I would bare minimum pick up like 4 of each if you could. I mean, Vraska's, like I said, are very expensive, but even Sorcerous Spyglass, why not? I mean, Bedevil's like nothing, so I mean, you get the really cheap ones. They could be 10, 15, $20 in the future. It's possible. But would I rush out and buy 100 copies of Bedevil? Probably not. First of all, it only works in Rakdos colors, not that anybody's playing anything other than mono or 3-color. Yeah, I don't think I'd exactly go nuts on buying them. But, I mean, get 4 or 8 for yourself, and, if it turns out that nothing happens with the price, okay, cool. You could probably sell them for the same damn price. So definitely keep an eye on that. So that's all the crazy conspiracy theories and speculation for now. Hey, you know, it's not a theory though. The fact that Discover credit cards are way better than Visa and MasterCard. They got better support, better perks, better everything. Just go check it out yourself. There's an affiliate link to get your own Discover card down in the description. And of course, it helps me out a lot. Doesn't cost you anything. And there's no annual fee. You get free fraud monitoring, free credit score monitoring, free social security leaked onto the dark web alerts. Like, no joke, it's 100% free. It's one of the best credit cards out there. I've been using it for 6-7 years and just haven't even touched my Visa. So check that out if you want to help out the channel, and I legitimately stand behind it. I went and sought after them for a sponsorship, not the other way around. And just FYI, let me just respond to all you mobile companies wanting me to show your stupid mobile app. Shove it up your ass. No, your apps are garbage. I'm not going to promote them. But this one I get behind, so check out that link. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you guys next video.